Folks, today's Monday, February 23rd, 2026. Coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network. A Georgia community is mourning the loss of a beloved black teacher. That black teacher, folks, was killed during a federal immigration ICE raid. We'll give you more details. A black mother in Michigan is saying that her son was killed execution style by Grand Rapids, Michigan police. We'll show you that video as well. California Governor Gavin Newsom getting lots of criticism over a remark he made to an audience in Atlanta dealing with his dyslexia and his SAT score. Well, people assume that because it was Atlanta, it was a black audience. It wasn't. People say it was a racist comment. I will explain why it wasn't. Finally, Supreme Court's ruling against Trump's tariffs. Senate Democratic leaders have proposed a new bill requiring those funds to be repaid. Ohio Governor Mike DeWine all of a sudden criticizes Donald Trump, the attempt to end temporary protected status for Haitian immigrants, and how it's going to hurt his state. But now you speak up. And we continue to honor the life and legacy of Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr. Tonight we'll talk with talk show host Gary Flowers, who spent a number of years working for Rainbow Push. It's time to bring the funk on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Let's go.
He's got whatever the miss, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling.
The family of Dr. Linda Davis in Savannah, Georgia, they are left wondering why she had to die when she did nothing wrong. Davis was killed on February 16th after authorities reported that 38-year-old Oscar Vasquez Lopez, who was fleeing an ICE traffic stop, ran a red light and collided with her vehicle. Vasquez is charged with vehicular homicide, reckless driving, driver without a valid license, and failure to obey a traffic control device. Now local leaders are questioning ICE enforcement tactics, highlighting that the Chatham County Police Department adheres to strict pursuit policies, suggesting that better coordination could have prevented this tragedy. ICE operates under the Department of Homeland Security. The most recent publicly available Department of Homeland Security Emergency Driving Handbook from 2012 states that federal officers must notify federal dispatch and their supervisor when initiating a stop or pursuit. However, there's no obligation to inform local law enforcement in advance. According to the DHS handbook, there are two classifications of vehicle pursuits: low-risk pursuits involving less severe crimes, where officers believe the chase can be conducted safely and at reasonable speeds, plus high-risk pursuits pertaining to serious or violent crimes where the suspect poses a greater threat necessitating immediate capture that must clearly outweigh the potential danger to the public. Officers are expected to continuously reassess the situation and terminate a pursuit if the risk becomes too high. Now, the problem here is that's not what they've done. We have seen all across the country how ICE has operated with impunity, really doing whatever it is that they want. And as we said, so many people have been talking about this woman and what happened to her and how and what the actual impact is. And so it is certainly unfortunate. She was a dedicated K through 8 teacher, beloved in the community. And again, so many people there are talking about who she was and what she meant to the community. This here is this here is a local news story that was run on.
That's right. And has K through 8 confirming that Dr. Linda Davis was killed in a car wreck just blocks from the school at Whitfield Avenue. The cause, a man without legal status fleeing a traffic stop with immigration's enforcement. WJCL 22 News' Lydia Blackstone is live now. And Lydia, tell us more about how this crash happened.
Good evening, Greg and Shannon. The Department of Homeland Services says that a man was fleeing ICE officials when he ran a red light and took an illegal U-turn right here. This is the exit you would take when going onto the Truman Parkway. It was then that he hit and killed a Chatham County educator. Broken glass and bent car frames being taken off the roadways in Chatham County after an early morning crash. The deceased, a beloved special education teacher, Dr. Linda Davis, who worked less than a mile away at Hess K through 8. While students were out for President's Day, Monday was a work day for teachers like Dr. Davis. The school responding, releasing a statement saying, "We should all expect and try to understand that there will be a variety of emotions and responses as to what has occurred. The most important thing we can do is to be supportive and encourage an open expression of feelings." As for what led up to it, police say ICE officers initially attempted a traffic stop of 38-year-old Oscar Vasquez Lopez. The Department of Homeland Security says he was initially stopped, then sped away, running a red light and making an illegal U-turn, which caused the deadly collision. DHS releasing this photo, saying he was in the country illegally from Guatemala. Vasquez Lopez has been charged with reckless driving, driving without a valid license, vehicular homicide, and other offenses. ICE policy says in regards to a situation like this, ICE officials use reasonable and necessary force when someone resists arrest. ICE officers and agents prioritize safety, including the safety of the people that they arrest, and are highly trained in de-escalation. Vasquez Lopez is currently in custody in the hospital. Authorities say he did not suffer serious injuries in the crash.
Bring my panel right now to Ame Congo, being a senior professor of lecture, School of International Service, American University, author of Lies About Black People, How to Combat Racism, joining us from D.C. Thelma Anderson, creator, The Public Opinion Court, and author, Shut Up and Prosecute. Attorney A. Scott Bolden, who joins us now, attorney from Washington, D.C. as well. Glad to have all three of y'all here. Let's get right into it. Scott, I want to start with you. Obviously, this is highly unfortunate, what we saw take place here. But the fundamental problem that we're facing here, Scott, that we're really dealing with, the actions of ICE and how they operate with impunity and how these officers really just frankly do whatever it is the hell they want.
And then the PR on it from Department of Homeland Security is that they're well trained and they're well trained in de-escalation. Well, that's just complete bullshit, and we've seen it over and over again. If you're here illegally and waiting on an asylum versus being here illegally and committing violent crimes, Homeland Security still identifies you as a criminal, which is why they act violently and aggressively and through military means or military equipment to remove folks who are here illegally. It's one and the same. They've bastardized the definition of a criminal or criminal conduct. So if you came here illegally and you're waiting on an asylum hearing, you know, that's like having disorderly conduct or getting a ticket, if you will. That really is. That's really all it is. And so they're working. They may have a green card, social security number, what have you, but they're paying taxes and they're waiting on their asylum hearing. That does not equate to a rapist or a murderer. And so when you have these high pursuits, most urban centers, police don't really even pursue high speed chases because of how dangerous they are, unless it's a violent crime or they're trying to protect the public or yourself. Someone fleeing ICE because they're here illegally just doesn't cut the mustard, not even under DHS rules.
Absolutely. It is, you know, Thelma, it's really rough to sit here and as you look at this story, and you know, and here was just a woman just trying to mind her business. This is a photo that was disseminated again of just a beloved educator. Everything we've read about her, and again, she's no longer with us. And we've done these stories so many times when these officers are pursuing someone and they move with reckless abandon as if someone else cannot be killed. And we've seen way too many stories in Houston and other places where there have been deadly pursuits.
Okay.
Hold up. I think you're on mute.
Let them go.
I think you're on mute. I can't hear.
But
All right, there we go.
We got to start calling this particular stop what it is. It's a civil, it's not criminal. So therefore, they have no legal reason to commit a pursuit of an individual on a civil matter. Anything that is immigration related, when it comes to the status of an individual, that's a civil, not criminal matter. So you are turning a civil matter into a criminal matter by just continuing to commit an illegal act, because an average individual in the state would be considered committing an illegal act, which is pursuing someone that you do not have the legal authority to. ICE does not have the legal authority to pursue anyone in a vehicle, and especially put other individuals who are on the road in danger. ICE put everyone in danger for attempting to stop someone for a civil infraction when they know they do not have the authority to do so. They know they're supposed to contact law enforcement, the local law enforcement, and local law enforcement even said that they should not have pursued this individual. They created a danger to the community. And I do not understand, if you create a danger, because we know that ICE, the type of vehicles that they have, does not identify them as law enforcement. These are rental vehicles because, one, they are not supposed to be in these communities at any point at this time because it's not a need. But for this reckless ass administration, putting these individuals who are dangerous to the community, showing up and trying to stop someone in an unmarked vehicle, when we know the law in every Supreme Court case would say that you got to make yourself known. You got to announce who you is. You have to have reasonable suspicion, probable cause in order to do anything law enforcement related when you were talking about approaching an individual, and to know that these fools don't even have the legal authority to stop anyone because you don't have that power. But they have been injected with this false sense of power. Now they are creating casualties everywhere they go. And in my opinion, they are the ones that should be charged for this crime because they committed the ultimate crime.
Congo, the point that Thelma makes there is that it's civil, but the actions of these ICE folks, it's as if they are pursuing Osama bin Laden.
Absolutely. And that's how they've labeled everybody who they pursue, whether we're talking about Renee Nicole Good or Alex Preddy, right? They called them a terrorist and a would-be assassin. And I'm very surprised that they haven't put out any language or rhetoric relating to Linda Davis about this. And quite honestly, Roland, the coverage of this is so appreciative because I haven't seen this on other networks. I've seen it on social media and other articles, but I haven't seen enough attention devoted to her life. And the fact of the matter is that ICE has been killing people across the country. In the detention centers, like over 30 people have died. A story just came out about a man named Ruben Ray Martinez, age 23 in Texas, who was shot and killed by ICE last year. And here you have a beloved teacher in her community, Linda Davis, whose name needs to be uplifted and her community needs to be uplifted, who is just gone. And this is also a reminder, unfortunately, to many Black people who said that this ICE stuff is not our problem. I saw a video of an arrest in Chicago where they were putting a Black man in a chokehold and one Black man yelled out, "Y'all only supposed to be arresting Mexicans." This stuff affects all of our communities, as in the extreme tragic events as Linda Davis, but also in some of the extra effects that are in our communities as well. And we have to speak up. We have to tell her story. We have to tell the story of Keith Porter, who most people don't talk about, but we do here as well. This is an American issue and it's affecting Black people as well. And I'm afraid that there are other Linda Davises out there that we're not even knowing about right now because ICE is treating everybody, like you said, like they are Bin Laden. And they feel like, and as Stephen Miller said, what was his language? You're unleashed. And JD Vance, you have absolute immunity. And that type of language is empowering these people to go and commit these acts.
Indeed. All right, folks, hold tight 1 second. I got to go to a break. We come back. We're going to talk about this case out of Michigan, where a mother say police simply executed her son and then allowed a dog to maul him after he was shot in the back of the head. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Stud Network.
Hey y'all, welcome to The Other Side of Change, only on the Black Star Network and hosted by myself, Rhea Baker, and my good sis, Jamira Burley. We are just two millennial women tackling everything at the intersection of politics, gender, and pop culture.
And we don't just settle for commentary. This is about solution-driven dialogue to get us to the world as it could be and not just as it is.
Watch us on the Black Star Network, so tune in to The Other Side of Change.
Violent white supremacy is, quote, the most persistent and lethal threat in the homeland.
The greatest terrorist threat to the homeland is the homegrown violence stream, including hate crime committed on behalf of some kind of white supremacist ideology.
They are coming after everything in Black America. MAGA and Donald Trump are specifically targeting Black America. They are going after the money. Attack Black Lives Matter. Attack critical race theory, attack woke, DEI. MAGA wants to defund Black America. This is a perfect example of their desire to completely degrade and de-emphasize Black people.
What's up? It's your girl, Tamika D. Mallory, and you are watching the Black Star Network.
Folks, this story out of Grand Rapids, Michigan really is a very difficult one. A mother there saying that her son was treated like Emmett Till. Daquan Trey Johnson, 32 years old, he was handcuffed. And then was being bitten by a police dog. And then all of a sudden, shots are fired, and he's shot in the back of the head. This was a video that was posted on Twitter of his mother talking about what took place with her son. Watch and listen. If the trigger warning here, folks, if you need to turn away, please turn away before I go live to the video. But it really is a shocking video. Okay, I'm going to play it right now.
They Matilda, my son.
They grabbed the thing. He on his stomach, both hands behind his back. He's not. Oh my God.
Oh my God. Oh man. They shot him in the back of the head. And while they had his hands tied behind, while they were holding both his hands, they shot him in the hands. And that's only two of the shots. They executed my baby. They held his hands behind his back. So what you see on the news, when you see the officer, not the one that was straddling him, that shot him in the back of the head, but the one holding the gun, that's the one that shot him in his hands while his partner was shooting him in the back of his head, y'all. No mother.
Now, earlier today, there was a news conference that took place, and she spoke out about what took place with this shooting. Michigan Live actually live streamed this here, and so I wanted to share this with you as well.
Today, I pray to God that we all stand together finally and get justice for this community and make a change in our city so that our grandkids and our great grandkids have an extended life. I also want to let the community know I thank them for their support. I do, however, want to reiterate that I do not condone any type of violence, not even to the officer who shot my son in the back of the head. Okay? So if you're gonna protest, please make it peaceful. Because if you can't do it peacefully, please don't march at this time and say that you're doing it on behalf of my son. Because I can't get justice if we're being violent through it. Okay? So I need the community to know I want you to show up and show out, but we got to show out in the right way. Because the only way we can make a difference is if we stop acting the way they want us to.
Amen.
I'm a little numb. So if I'm not crying, it doesn't mean I'm not hurt. So I'm not standing here with my strength right now. I'm standing here with the strength of God. Because at 11 o'clock today, the Lord met me right where I was in that funeral home. No mother. No mother should ever have to have the final memory. That's what I got today. The evidence is there. Y'all couldn't see it, but you will soon enough. But my son was shot in the back of the head. He was mauled in the neck by a dog. And the way he was shot in his hands, you could tell that his hands were being held behind his back. To the police chief, I'm not mad at y'all. What I want y'all to know is, yeah, Daquan was on parole. Daquan was a convicted felon. He was. But Daquan had a heart of gold. Okay? And if being a convicted felon and being on a parole is justified, is a justifiable cause for homicide to execute, because they didn't just shoot him, they shot him execution style. It was up close and personal. Okay? They didn't just take my baby. They took somebody who loved his community, who gave to his community, who did for his community, who anybody could pick up the phone and call, and he was there. There's a million people that can tell you how Daquan uplifted them. So yeah, I acknowledge he was a convict. He was on parole too.
So is your president.
But your president is the convict.
35 times.
He had Epstein files. He groping women, but we voted him in, and I don't see none of y'all okaying us to go shoot him down like a dog. How many of y'all votes, how many people are in positions of power that should be convicts, but because they had enough money, their record ain't on file. Daquan just didn't have enough money to hide his dirt. Okay? So if y'all gonna look at him for the father that he was, for the son that he was, for the brother that he was. I had to tell my daughter that her best friend was dead. And I don't think anybody knows. Now, I lost one, but the piercing scream that came through that phone killed me on the inside. Go out and love on your kids. I need y'all to start standing up for your kids, because we are all that they got when their voice taken away. I'm going to be Daquan's voice, and I'm going to be Riley Doggett's voice, and I'm going to be Samuel Sterling's voice, and we are going to say their names. We are going to say their names, and we are going to get justice, not just for my son, but for all these other people who the police went home, had dinner with their wife and their kids, and everybody's so worried about them and their family. After they done shot mine down, I still haven't got a count up. My condolences from the chief of police. I ain't heard from the chief of police, and I probably won't, because if I was them, I wouldn't call me either, because that's more evidence for me. Just saying. But at the end of the day, I do think everyone, justice will be served.
That's right.
My son and the rest of these young men, their lives will not have been in vain. And I have faith in God that my son's death, we're going to make an impact on this.
All right, let me share some details with you. This is, give me 1 second. This is a story from WZZM 13. Give me 1 second. Let me pull the story up. And has details. This story is dated February 20th. And what it says is that, give me 1 second, they've hired an attorney who has done a lot of these cases of officer-involved shootings. So apparently what happened was It says the two officers who have not been identified were attempting to stop a man riding his bike in Southeast Grand Rapids Wednesday night as they believed he was carrying a gun. It said Johnson was shot by a GRPD officer Wednesday night and died from his injuries early Thursday morning. His family says he was a father with another baby on the way. They did release some of the video. It says in the video, you can see Johnson riding his bike ahead of a cruiser before jumping off and attempting to run from the police. After he appeared to have slipped on ice, the video shows a police canine on him while two officers stand over. Then 3 shots can be heard before the video cuts off. Story says that now what's crazy is it happened Wednesday night. The police chief said the officers we formally interviewed Friday morning. Okay. And then it says this is a GRPD chief, Eric Winstrom. And then the attorney released his own statement. He claims in his statement that, you can see at, I think it's you can see at the 6:14 mark. You say the cop said, I saw the barrel pointed right at my face at the 6-minute 14-second mark of the GRPD press conference on YouTube. And so that's what the officer states. Now, here's the problem here. Is the officer saying that after the shooting? This is the thing here, Thelma, when these cases happen. Okay, so the lawyer, you already see the lawyer defending the cops, he's already putting out his statement. So what they're doing is they're already framing the narrative. So the question then has to rise. Okay, first question. He was on a bike. They said, we think he has a gun. Was there probable cause to begin to chase him just because he's on a bike? Did they see a weapon as they were driving? What's the basis of stopping somebody because you might think they have a gun?
This particular issue, when I tell you, when I saw it instantly, can y'all hear me?
Yeah, got you. Go ahead.
When I saw this, it boiled my blood because he was stopped because he was Black, not because they assumed it was because he was Black. Nothing more, nothing less. And the one thing that I want to take people on is a breakdown of what the law is, because we have a new standard. Last year, and that surprised the hell out of me, the Supreme Court came back under Barnes v. Felix and stated that officers have to have more than just fear, because they like to use that fear word. That is the best, that is their favorite word. They know how to spell it, they know how to recite it, they know how to scream it, shout it, lie on it. And in Barnes v. Felix, it states that it has to be more than just pose the threat and more than just fear. So when we look at Daquan, we can see, because that statement that lawyer made, he needs to fucking retract it right now, because the video that we saw, that the one that they didn't want to release the full clip, we saw totally different. We didn't see a barrel. We ain't see them in fear of their life. We saw them placing Daquan in fear of his life. Daquan was on the fucking ground, on his belly. You got one officer who has his hands behind his back, which means that he is subdued. You have that fucking K9 on the side of him. And then you have the trigger happy officer waiting to put his kill shot on Daquan. And under the case law, it states, they look at, was he restrained? Was he subdued? Was there any imminent threat at that exact moment when that officer decided to put 4 bullets in the back of Daquan's head and blow his brains out? Or was it merely just excessive force? Hell no. All of the 3 prongs that they qualify to show that an officer did not have the legal authority to use deadly force shows that he was not justified under any circumstances. You had 3 law enforcement employees, because that damn dog is a fucking law enforcement employee. You had 3 law enforcement employees holding him down. He could not move. And you want to tell us that you was fucking scared? You want to tell us that 4 shots in the back of his head was reasonable and justified? They're saying that because they did not know that there was another video that we saw the real angle. We saw the real threat. We saw the real criminals. We saw the real pigs murder another Black innocent man because he was on a fucking bike when he is a Black man in America. He did not pose a threat. They posed the threat. So they don't like to talk about the case law that actually tells them what they can and cannot fucking do. And it's a project.
Well, keep in mind, the person responding is the attorney representing the cops, so we know what he's doing. This was a local news report, and this was the video that they released. And when you see this
came from
video,
one officer, that's the canine officer. So in the first video, you do see from his body camera of him driving in the cruiser, and then as they approach the scene at that apartment where those shots were eventually fired. The second video is from the car's perspective, dash cam of that. You see a wide shot of the interaction of the officers, but you can't see clearly whether or not Daquan Johnson actually pulled out a gun, although you can hear officers say that he has a gun moments before the fire.
Okay, hey,
sorry, I don't know if you missed that because of that motorcycle that just came by. But as I was saying, you don't know exactly whether those shots were actually, or whether the man actually had a gun in the video itself. You hear officers saying that. We also asked Chief Winstrom why they were pursuing him in the first place, because they estimate that chase where Johnson was on a happened for about 90 seconds before they stopped at that apartment complex. He did share with us that he was on parole.
Well, see, like this just
there's certainly other legal reasons to stop that individual, but the radio traffic that we're familiar with, that he was suspected of having a gun. Obviously,
yeah, you know, your video's running in my ear, so I'm having a hard time hearing you. Okay, it stopped. But I heard most of what you said. You and I've been doing this for almost 10 years total. And the video is unbelievable in the sense that they didn't see a gun until they realized he had one. And then that became the narrative, that he had a gun. When they found the gun on him, then they said, well, he had a gun. That's
first time I threw on a poncho shirt.
So that's the first thing. The second of all, he's down. He's under control. You have 2 officers, you have the dog. They either handcuffed him at some point before they shot him, but he is completely under control. I mean, it just makes no sense. Even if they found a gun on him, even if it was illegal, he hadn't done anything to threaten the officers. But you see, the police believe that once you find a weapon, the end justifies the means. But that's not how it works. At least that's not how the law works. And so as a result, it's still, they could have gotten a radio run for a kid on a bike or a man on a bike with a gun. That's enough for them to pursue him and to investigate if that's a radio run. We don't know what he did before the police got behind him, but okay. But he can have a gun on him even if it's illegal. Even if he doesn't have a right to carry it, doesn't mean he ought to be executed or shot. That doesn't mean that you have a right to shoot him simply because he has a weapon. It makes no sense whatsoever. And so I don't know what the lawyers for the police are going to say. Obviously, they're union lawyers, and they're going to get their story straight. And they're going to say they feared for their life. They found a weapon, all these things that we never heard here normally, but it just doesn't add up. And if you got a strong independent prosecutor in Grand Rapids, Michigan, there will be an investigation. And these police officers, you don't need nothing more than the video. You don't need anything more than the video. You know, you can see everything there.
So this was the news conference. This was the news conference with the police chief. And this is where the video was shown. So I just want to roll this again. And this is with the police chief. Okay, so watch this. So what?
One more body worn camera video. That was for moments after the shooting. As I said, we haven't processed all the video to share with you, but I did have forensics email us very quickly a image or two of firearm as it lay.
All right, so this was the video. Again, Ome Congo. I always say this when these things happen. What led to it?
Right.
What was the rationale? What was the rationale? And this flimsy, and then of course you already see the attorney saying, "Oh, you heard the cop say I was staring down the barrel of a gun." At what point? Because
right.
we used now there was a point when I saw what appeared to be, again, when he sort of got up, it looked like he reaches to his right side, but again, all of a sudden the dog is on top of him. Now he's face down. Here's what now they got to explain. How do you have two cops and a canine on top of a man and you end up firing shots in the back of his head? He's subdued. So you got to deal with two things. The first, why were you pursuing? What was the basis? And then how do you have a canine and two cops on top of a man and then you get shots fired in the back of the head?
And that's what makes it sketchy from the jump, because if they had video evidence showing what he was doing in the beginning that led to the pursuit, they would have released that ASAP. They would have released that before any real investigation was done, because they would obviously try to get the community on their side, the Fox Newses of the world. But they're not showing any of that. They're leading up to this particular moment with nothing to show in advance of that. So that's when I get concern, number one. And then number two, like you said, he's already down. You already have the dog on him. Unless your intention was to execute this individual, that's the only reason I can see that what they want, why they did it. Did they know him from somewhere other time? Do they hate him? Do they just feel like, hey, this is Trump, we can get away with anything? We need to know more about these officers. We need to know more about their background. And quite honestly, I want to take it back to the mother when we first started. It's very frustrating to see mother after mother, father after father, sibling after sibling have to compose themselves in the face of executions that are broadcast around the world of their own relative, particularly their own children. And we always have to be the ones to forgive. We always have to be the ones to not call for violence. And of course, we should not call for violence, of course. But the onus is always put on us to be graceful and be dignified, while these officers get to make up any type of story, get all of this time to get their story straight, and do what they can to justify the execution of a man who was mauled and then shot in the back of the head. And that's what we have to keep bringing it back to. Just like the mother said, back of the head, shot, period, bottom line. And it doesn't matter. There's nothing he was doing before. As Scott was saying, there was nothing he was doing beforehand that could have justified anything that they did to him. And that's why this story has to stay in the news the way that we are keeping it in the news, not by the narrative that they're setting.
Yeah, Roland, one other thing with the video, real quick.
Hold on. I do want us to, want to remind y'all that it was 4 years ago in Grand Rapids, Michigan, where Officer Christopher Scher, after a traffic stop, shot Patrick Lyoa in the back of the head. That officer was convicted. We covered that story. We detailed what actually happened. And this was, give me 1 second. I'm setting it up. And again, same thing. He gets pulled over. Because of, just give me a second.
According to Winstrom, it began with the traffic stop over a mismatched license plate, although it's unclear why the officer decided to scan Lyoya's car. Dash camera video shows the officer pull Lyoya over near the intersection of Nelson and Griggs on the city's southeast side when both he and Lyoya get out.
Dude, I'm stopping you. Do you have a license? Do you have a license?
What?
The officer's body camera video goes on to show the two talk for a few minutes. Leoya looks confused while the officer tells him the reason behind the stop. He then opens his door to get his license, but never does, and instead appears to try and walk away.
No. Stop. Put your hands up.
The officer is seen then grabbing his wrist, but Leoya pulls away and runs. From there, video shows the officer tackling Leoya to the ground. There's a struggle. The two then stand up and move down the street, with the officer repeatedly asking Leoya to stop resisting as he responds, "Okay." But the officer instead pulls out his taser and uses it at least twice over the next roughly 90 seconds as Leoya attempts to stop him from doing so. Video shot by the person Leoya was with at the time captures the officer yell to drop the taser. Moments later, the officer is seen pulling out his gun and shooting Leoya in the head. Winstrom says it's unknown if Leoya getting a hold of the taser is enough to justify the officer's use of deadly force.
The short answer is it
Unbelievable.
can be. So a
You're
taser
still in
is
my
not
ear.
per se.
You're still in my ear. The worst piece of policing I've ever seen in my life. The cop is struggling with this guy one-on-one. His taser won't work. And then he pulls out his gun and shoots him because he's resisting arrest. Somebody needs to tell the police in Grand Rapids that you're going to run in. It's anticipated you're going to run into people who are not going to obey a police order. And you cannot use deadly force to get someone under control. You call backup, do something, but you can't shoot them because they won't do what you say. Now this is the second time that this has happened, and they're headhunters. They're shooting these people in their heads. It makes no sense. Now, on the original video, on the original story that we're talking about, right? More bad police work. They don't know what they have. They're probably on a radio run. They're following the guy on the bike. He gets off the bike and he runs. You still can't use deadly force on the Tennessee v. Garner. But what do you see the police do, Roland? They get out of their car. They put the dog on him. Okay, that might be okay to do that under the regs, right? But they both get out running with what? Their guns out. Why are their guns out? The guy is running. The cop, the dog is on him. They get out with their guns drawn. So they're going to use deadly force,
right?
Not knowing
what
they even have.
And let me remind you, Christopher Scher, it was a hung jury, and prosecutors opted not to try him. So there was no justice in the shooting death of Patrick Leoya. And we'll see what happens in this case, this current case in Grand Rapids as well. So again, the Leoya shooting took place April 2022. This took place February 2026. All right, folks, got to go to, yes, real quick.
Let me add this because I think this is a perfect moment, especially with the recent Supreme Court case, that we're talking about the future of the Democratic Party, especially going into who's going to be the presidential nominee. We got to start asking them, and not asking, but demanding that police immunity be taken away. Not only just police immunity, but prosecutorial immunity and judge immunity, because this has got to stop.
Well, that is one of the issues that we often have seen come up in previous campaigns. Hold tight 1 second. We come back. California Governor Gavin Newsom, he's in Atlanta. He makes a statement. Folks in social media going crazy, say, oh my God, he was racist talking to black people. But was he talking to black people? And what he had to say, was it racist? I say no, and I will explain. When we come back, Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Support the work that we do. Join our Bring the Funk fan club. Hey, guys, this is real simple. We cannot depend on other people telling our story. It's critically important that we support and invest in. We do not charge a subscription fee for you to get this content. We purposely make this content free and widely available on YouTube, on Facebook, on our app. But your support really is needed. Again, if 20,000 of our fans on an annual basis contribute $50 each, that's $4.19 a month, 13 cents a day. It raises $1 million. That helps you defray the cost of what we do. Listen, this is a 2-hour show. We've got Brittany Noble's daily noon show. We've got Balanced Living show. We've got of course a history show, the Black Table. We got the Other Side of Change. We've got a weekly health show. We've got Roland's Book Club. Y'all, that's 6 shows. We are producing more. Let me be real clear. We are producing this show and this network. We are producing more content on a daily and a weekly basis than any other Black-owned media company. Just straight up. The amount of content, interviews, and news that we're doing. And so, again, your support is needed. A lot of y'all are watching. A lot of y'all been watching. Y'all commenting in the chat, but you haven't supported us financially. Well, guess what? If you don't support us financially, ain't no show, and ain't no show for you to sit in and support. Hit the like button is great, but guess what? Those resources matter. What we do costs $195,000 a month. So the money that we raise defrays the cost of what we're able to generate through third-party advertising, our YouTube channel. Your donations are really that important. We've had 37,179 total donors since we launched September 4th, 2018, and you should be one of the folks to get your name on that list, which we run every Friday. So you want to support us via Cash App, use the Stripe QR code. All you got to do is click the Cash App Pay button to contribute. You can also use this for credit cards, checks and money order. Make it payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered, P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C., 20037-0196. PayPal's R Martin Unfiltered, Venmo RM Unfiltered, Zelle Roland at RolandSMartin.com, Roland at RolandandMartinUnfiltered.com. We'll be right back.
They said the quiet part out loud. Black votes are a threat, so they erased them. After the Supreme Court gutted the Voting Rights Act in 2013, Republican legislatures moved fast. New voter ID laws, polling place shutdowns, purges of black voters from the rolls. Trump's Justice Department didn't stop it, they joined in. In 2018, his DOJ backed Ohio's voter purge system, a scheme that disproportionately erased black voters. Their goal, erase black votes and political power. Yeah, that happened. These are the kinds of stories that we cover every day on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Subscribe on YouTube and download the Black Star Network app. Support fact-based independent journalism that centers African Americans and the issues that matter to our community.
If in this country right now, you have people get up in the morning and the only thing they can think about is how many people they can hurt, and they got the power, that's the time for mourning.
For better or worse, what makes America special, it's that legal system that's supposed to protect minorities from the tyranny of the majority.
We are at a point of a moral emergency. We must raise a voice of outrage. We must raise a voice of compassion. And we must raise a voice of unity.
We are not in a crisis of party versus party. We are in a crisis of civilization, a human rights crisis, and a crisis of democracy itself. And guess what? You've been chosen to make sure that those that would destroy, those that would hate, don't have the final say, and they don't ultimately win.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol, we've seen
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear. All right, folks. Whenever I see a social media clip, something that everybody's commenting on, one of the first things I do is play it again. Then play it again to ensure I heard what I said, and then I want to hear the context of what was being said. So when I saw this clip about a comment that California Governor Gavin Newsom made during a fireside chat with the mayor of Atlanta, I went, what did he say? And I'll play it again. Well, that clip, oh my God, he is facing massive criticism. After telling an audience, and see, here's the problem. Here's the problem. The assumption is that because he was in Atlanta and because he was sitting with Mayor Andre Dickens, it's a black audience.
Who was it?
Everybody keeps saying that. Reporters and producers and people on social media say he was telling a black audience in Atlanta that he's just like them because he scored low on the SAT and he can't read. That's the assumption people made. So we're going to play the clip. Here you go.
I'm not trying to impress you. I'm just trying to impress upon you. I'm like you. I'm no better than you. I'm a 960 SAT guy. and I'm not trying to offend anyone, trying to act all there if you got 940. But literally a 960 SAT guy. I cannot, you've never seen me read a speech because I cannot read a speech. Maybe the wrong business to be in.
Okay. Play it again, and I want y'all to listen.
I'm not trying to impress you. I'm just trying to impress upon you. I'm like you. I'm no better than you. I'm a 960 SAT guy. and I'm not trying to offend anyone, trying to act all there if you got 940. But literally a 960 SAT guy. I cannot, you've never seen me read a speech because I cannot read a speech. Maybe the wrong business to be in.
Okay. Play it again.
I'm not trying to impress you. I'm just trying to impress upon you. I'm like you. I'm no better than you. I'm a 960 SAT guy. and I'm not trying to offend anyone, trying to act all there if you got 940. But literally a 960 SAT guy. I cannot, you've never seen me read a speech because I cannot read a speech. Maybe the wrong business to be in.
Lord, folks been losing their minds. A whole bunch of black folks been posting stuff. How dare he? I scored this on my SAT. I scored this on my SAT. I mean, they were just going on and on and on. They were going crazy. And again, everybody, if you look at the response, oh my God, how did he was talking? He was talking to a black room. It was a room filled with black people because he was in Atlanta. Because he was in Atlanta. And again, a lot of people, white people, black people, jumping to conclusions. But here's the deal: Mark Lamont Hill, he posted some video on his social media. Let me play it for you. This is what Mark posted. These are people in line to see Gavin Newsom. This is his book tour. I just want y'all to look at the audience. Mm-hmm. It's gonna play again. I just want y'all to look at the audience. Look at the audience. Okay, I'm gonna play. This is a video on the inside. This is not a soul power audience I'm looking at. Okay, all right. Now, here's the deal. It wasn't a black audience. So if you are a social media person or a media person and you immediately jump to the conclusion that because Gavin Newsom was in Atlanta, can I help y'all out? Atlanta is not 100% black.
Hello.
Atlanta is not 50% black. In fact, because of the population shift to outer counties, Atlanta is actually no longer majority black. There are white people in Atlanta. But this is the problem with people in their media. So they just automatically assume, oh, black audience, Newsom made a comment, he was talking to black people. Now, if you actually dissect what he says, what he was saying was, I am no better than anybody else here. I didn't do a 1600 on my SAT. I'm dyslexic. I remind people that was a storyline in the Cosby Show. Bill Cosby's actual son, Ennis, was dyslexic, and that became a thing on the Cosby Show. Theo Huxtable talked about dyslexia. So here's the piece. So when he says, I'm just like everybody else, he wasn't being demeaning, saying, guess what? I'm dumb just like y'all dumb. I can't read like y'all can't read. The problem, all these people who are responding, and I've seen, oh my God, black folks, progressive, white folks, even some on the right. Now, the crazy thing is, I've seen some white conservatives go, that's not what Newsom said. People say, man, I disagree with Newsom on everything, but that's not what he said. Y'all, nuance matters. So if you listen to what he says, he's using an example by saying, listen, I'm not some hoity-toity, A student. I didn't kill it. He's like, I'm a regular person. That's literally what he was saying. But this is what happens, though. So the mistake is for people to automatically assume he was talking to a room full of black people. So I'll just give an example. Imagine if I was giving a speech in Des Moines, Iowa, and I have the NAACP Freedom Fund dinner. So let's say I gave a speech and someone says, oh my God, did you hear what Roland Martin said to that nearly all white audience? Well, if you never see the audience, there are no pictures or video, then you don't actually know who I was talking to. Context matters. If you heard me make some comments about black men, oh my God, did you hear what Roland Martin said about black men? Was I talking to a room full of black men? Was I talking to a room full of black women? The reality is, when people speak, you are also tailoring messaging to the room. This silly, stupid story is a perfect example of folk making assumptions, and they made racial assumptions in what he had to say, but they made racial assumptions of who was in the room, and all the folk who did look like fools because they were wrong. Congo, this is just stupid.
Yeah, this was one that when I saw it, I said I need to wait before commenting on this, because people can talk about a lot of issues with Gavin Newsom, but even though I couldn't really see him doing something like that or saying something like that in front of a bunch of black people, I think the implications, he would know better. But I was like, let me wait and see. I think also it's like, is black people playing on our own assumptions and stereotypes about ourselves, right? Because for us to automatically assume that because those comments were made, he was in front of a black audience talking about lack of intelligence and the like, that kind of plays to like what I wrote about in my Lies About Black People book in terms of the stereotypes that we tell ourselves. So I think that's problematic. And thirdly, you're absolutely right about how in this media age, the inability to fact check and the inability to actually do research, so many people are rushing and they want to be rushed rather than be right. And that is a real big problem. And of course, you got AI and deep fakes and all of that other type of stuff out there as well. But this is just like basic journalism 101 as it relates to the research. People can talk about the comments, whether they're inappropriate, but to say that it was all black people and you ain't seen who was there, that's a problem. And so I think this is a good opportunity for a relatively light example, given all the other stuff that's going on, for all of us who are in this space to do a little bit of a reset in how we process information, how quick we are to share information, and how quick many of us are to not do our fact checks. I think this is a great example of that, and the way you're breaking it down and what Mark Lamont Hill did as well is extremely necessary, and more of us need to be doing that before we jump to conclusions.
Oh, absolutely. Thelma, I'm going to pull up this tweet here. This is hilarious. Give me a second.
Don't tell me it's
No. This is hilarious. So let's see here. Do I have it ready? I think I do. So Sean Hannity goes, Gavin Newsom thinks a 960 SAT makes him like black Americans. Let that sink in. Well, Gavin Newsom did not waste any time responding back. He said, you didn't give a shit about the president of the United States of America posting an ape video of President Obama or calling African nations shitholes, but you're going to call me racist for talking about my lifelong struggle with dyslexia? Spare me your fake fucking outrage, Sean.
Well, Roland, you should hear.
Hold on. No, hold on, Scott. That was for Thelma. Hold on, Scott. Hold on. That was for Thelma.
One thing about Gavin is he's going to clear it every fucking time. And the thing that I see when we're talking about outrage, and I need black people to read the fucking room. And well, we saw that they didn't read the fucking room, but read the damn social media room. If the people in the fucking room, I'm talking about the big people that was in the fucking room, did not come out and say a goddamn thing about what he said. Why are you letting MAGA and his bots rile you up? We're sitting, this man was sitting on stage. Y'all are mad that he's talking about his mediocre test scores. Yes, a white man being mediocre is normal in this country. He's telling you about a disorder that is authentic because it's relatable to other individuals who struggle. Everybody is not the brightest bulb in the fucking ceiling. You don't have to, he literally is telling you, you do not have to have the best test score to be a governor or hell, to be the fucking president. We all have struggles. We all can relate to each other in some way, shape, form, or fashion. Everybody is not going to be at the top. So prepare yourself based off of where you are, and you can too get to wherever your heart desires. But for the black people to allow these bots and these MAGA conspiracy theories to come out here and play in y'all fucking face, when we need to be sticking to the fucking script and making sure that we are putting belted ass in these fucking elections. We do not need to be distracted by something that does not even exist. This outrage should not be a fucking outrage.
nuance and context is kind of important, Scott.
Yeah, but you should see the texts I'm getting while I'm doing your show from people with law degrees, MBAs, who are following this narrative that Newsom, people you and I know that are following this narrative. You know, I'm texting them saying, watch Roland Martin show right now. Watch it right now. It was a white audience. When he said you, he was talking to an audience full of white people, and he was using the euphemism you generally, not you individually, not you black people, not even you white people, that you, I'm like you, the common man. I'm no brilliant scientist or neurologist of some kind. My goodness, I got that part. Now, but look at the racial dynamic, though, because it's in Atlanta. Had he said that to a room full of black children, okay, I'd get your outrage. If he said it in front of black people, yeah, I'd get your outrage, but I still think you were ignorant, because in the context of that interview, in what he was saying that he was no better than you, no better than the average American or the average voter. And he struggled with dyslexia. My goodness gracious. But you see, social media, there's no filter, and there's not a whole lot of intelligence either. So hopefully you got a couple more views from your
I just think
friends. Again, they're people with degrees are putting it out there. That's the danger of it.
It's because, and again, this is the mistake. It's because they're like, oh, Gavin Newsom was in Atlanta, had to be a room full of black people. No, it was a room full of white people. It was mostly white. Now, maybe what y'all should be asking is, damn, Gavin Newsom on a book tour and goes to Atlanta, and damn near nobody black was there. That's a different story. Exactly. But also, when a person, this is the problem that people, when a person is talking, again, a person can say something like, hey, man, I ain't no better than y'all. I'm not no better than y'all.
Right.
That's not like, y'all, I made 960, so y'all did too. No, it's a statement. Again, it drives me crazy when folk don't want to deal with nuance and context and allow people to have a conversation. That to me is just utterly insane. And here's also the knee jerk. The knee jerk is, well, I need to throw my credentials to say I'm not one of them. That's true. And let me be as real clear as possible. I don't give a shit if you made a 1,500 or 1,400 or 1,200 or 1,080. I really don't. Because you know what? Here's what I know. All I know is this here. I know I didn't make a damn 1,000 SAT. I know I ain't make 960. You know why? Because I didn't give a shit about that test. I was already, let me be real clear, y'all. I didn't give a damn about the SAT because I was already admitted to college. I was in the top 10%. Yo, I was like the night before, I was kicking it, listening to music. I was like, all right, let me go ahead and just sign my name. Yo, I want to take a nap that early damn morning on a Saturday. It didn't mean nothing. And you know what? I'm just gonna be real sorry, okay? And listen, I know some people gotten all upset, but I really don't care. The bottom line is this here. There are some fields that you go in and you're gonna need all that stuff, but there's some other stuff you're not gonna need it. You know when I graduated? December 1991. And when I sat on that floor, it was a whole bunch of people to my left and a whole bunch of people to my right and a whole bunch of people in front of me and a whole bunch of people behind me who did not have a job. And I remember, because it was a huge graduating class, I walked across the street to the Memorial Student Center at Texas A&M. My brother was like, man, where you going? Because he graduated the year before. I was like, man, I'm going to get a newspaper. I said, hell, we're going to be here a while. And I went and bought a USA Today. On the cover of the USA Today business section was a story on how difficult it was for college graduates to get jobs. And my black ass was sitting right there reading that paper like, I ain't got that problem because I had my job for a whole damn month. And you know what? In the first year and a half of my career, I got promoted 3 times. My lifelong dreams in my career I achieved by the time I was 29. Guess what? That SAT score and a damn GPA in college didn't have shit to do with none of that. So folk just need to go ahead and just cut this nonsense. Y'all, it wasn't a hit on black people. Because the only black person who was in the room really was Mayor Andre. We wasn't even in the room. He was talking to white people. So you know what? This is white people's business. This is white people's business. So let white governor talking to a room full of white people. Ain't got nothing to do with us. So I just like, please, y'all, spare me all the little silly ass emotion because y'all get on my damn nerves. Somebody says, Roland, you're not impressed with 1,500 on the SAT because you didn't do it. Oh, let me be real clear, sports actuary. It's a whole bunch of people who got 1,500 on the SAT who not in 4 halls of fame.
Hello, Mike. Close laptop.
True.
But you don't have anything against people who do get 1,500
no,
and who practice academic excellence. I know you're not promoting that because
no. Listen here clearly, very clearly. The mistake that people make, is that your SAT score is a predictive of what your life is going to be.
It's not.
The point that Gavin Newsom was making, that wasn't me. So, and here's the deal. If you make 1,500 SAT, congratulations, but you still got to prove it at the next level. You can have a 4.0 in college, but you still got to prove it at the next level. And so what he was saying was, and this is the problem with our society. The problem with this society is, if you, Scott, you and Thelma are lawyers. Guess what? Okay, Thelma, what law school did you go to?
Thurgood Marshall School of Law.
Texas Southern University. Scott, what law school did you go to?
Howard University School of Law.
Guess what? The American system's like, oh my God, they can't be considered for the Supreme Court because look at the law schools that they went to. The elitism that exists in our society is real. Remember, there was a white woman who George W. Bush named to the Supreme Court, and they went, excuse me, she went to SMU? Oh my God, she went to SMU? No, in America, it's no, you have to go to Harvard, Yale, Columbia, you got to go to one of the Ivy Leagues. People act like you can't go somewhere else and do great. And then if you somewhere else and be brilliant and do great things, it's stupid. And so what Gavin Newsom is simply saying is, I went through stuff in my life. And so let's stop doing this. And so I believe what we're doing in this country. One, I believe Trump and these MAGA morons, these maggots, they want stupid. They want people who are not smart. But when I say smart does not always mean test score smart. Smart doesn't always mean GPA smart. Smart means, can you actually do the job? And that's the thing for me that is troubling when these things happen. So I just sit here and look at these morons who are just like, oh my God, they're making a big deal. And it's just on and on and on. I'm like, really, shut the hell up. Y'all gotta be quiet because you're looking stupid because you're making a massive racial assumption. And the racial assumption that you're making is that Gavin Newsom was talking down to a room full of black people because he was in Atlanta. No, it was a room full of white people. So if y'all want to be mad, but let white folks deal with this on their own. Please do so. Scott, Scott, people still texting you? And Scott, feel free to tell people text you. Feel free to tell people.
I'm texting them right back. These are people with MDs, LLMs. They work with big law firms, big medical practices,
and they stressed out and miserable.
And I'm texting them back, Roland, saying, "Stop putting this crap out there, man. It was a white audience. Look at the video. Do your research. Stop it." And then they bring up Fox News. Well, I saw it on Fox News. I said, hell,
right
there's your problem.
Right there.
There's your problem,
there you go.
black man.
If your silly ass is sitting here posting something based upon Fox News, you deserve to be stuck on stupid.
Exactly.
I'm telling you.
Not understanding what their whole role is, not understanding how they gonna sit here and drop y'all.
By the way, Roland, there are a lot of HBCU graduates from medical school and law schools that are in big corporate law firms like me that are heading up major academic healthcare research institutions. In fact, the new president of Morehouse College ran the health sciences large group at University of Michigan, and he was a Morehouse graduate. So that's a whole nother show you can do on historical Black college graduates who are leading in probably every field of human endeavor without having gone to Harvard or Yale or Stanford. It's a fact.
Yeah, but here's the thing, and we're gonna do a round of this. And Gary Flowers, hold on. Here's the thing I'm gonna need Here's the thing I'm gonna need Black people to also do, and I'm just being real clear with this one here. I ain't explaining shit to white people.
Mm-hmm.
Let me be as clear and blunt as I can. A lot of us want to, when these things happen, no, I'm going to explain to you my credentials. Let me tell y'all what a bunch of these races. Let's just take, like, you got these racists, these maggots, who call Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson a brilliant mind,
right.
DEI hire.
Yeah.
Black folks like, oh, she's done this. Y'all, you can have 10 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
You could get a degree from every Ivy League school. And these white racists gonna call you a DEI hire. Because really what they want to call you is the N-word.
Yep. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
You can score at the absolute highest. And you know what they're gonna say? You ain't earn it. DEI didn't earn it. You could sit here and win all of the awards on. They gonna sit here and show their ass because what their desire is to diminish you because of race. And so what happens is the knee-jerk reaction is, I have to no, I'm going to tell you all that I've done. They can kiss my ass.
Same.
When I was at Texas A&M, you hear from affirmative action. And you probably got in because your mom and your daddy. Kiss my ass. Y'all, I'm not letting these I am not defending nothing to these fools. I ain't defending nothing. That was a student who made this comment to my niece. And hell, it was a really stupid comment. It was a really stupid comment. And questioning something about academia. And the reality is this here. As they say in basketball, ball don't lie. So the university, so I'm a Texas A&M graduate, so it ain't like I'm happy my niece with the University of Texas Law School. That's another story. But fine, she there. Fine, she there. She there. Okay, that's another story.
Huh?
I can't. Burnt orange anyway. All right, especially when her daddy's an Aggie, my sister's an Aggie, my sister's husband is an Aggie. But that's a whole nother story. All right. So University of Texas Law School, they recently announced their law school is called the Texas Law Chancellor Society. So these are the top GPAs in their law class. So my niece Elizabeth Martin, you see, she's the only black person right there. She's the only black. But actually, so she's actually the first African American ever to become a chancellor, in the top GPA. And so that they recently had a big ceremony about this. And so you see Grand Chancellor, Vice Chancellor, Clerk, all these different names, and she's chancellors at large. And so I guess some student made some kind of comment. It was kind of like, if you ain't a chancellor, I guess you ain't had a grades. I mean, either you got it or you don't. Again, I want every black person, whether it's my niece, whether it's family members, whether it's friends, whether people texting Scott, we do not have to justify our existence.
Right.
We do not have to explain where we went, what we did, how long we studied. I gave a commencement speech. Y'all go see it. Jackson State. And this is what I said to them. You belong in every room you enter.
That's right.
So I am not sitting here like listing this and this and this. If you want to question what I've done because I'm Black, in the words of Della Reese from Harlem Nights, kiss my entire ass.
Hello.
I'm not going to do it. So hopefully some of y'all out there will learn that. And so when some white folk try to challenge you, or some simple Simon Negroes, that's what you say. Kiss my ass. And you keep moving. I'm just not going to even give you any of that. None.
We don't
Zero.
argue with mediocre whiteness. We don't.
I'm not. I'm just like, I don't care. You can be white, Black, whatever. We're not having a conversation because I really don't care what you think.
Yep. That's it.
Ever.
You take up too much being concerned about what people think. And that's a discount.
Ever. I do not care what the hell they think. Ever. All right, let me go to a break. We come back. We're going to talk with Gary Flowers. Spent a lot of years at Rainbow Push working for Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr., sharing his thoughts and reflections on the loss of this brilliant brother. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered. Well, we don't give a shit what you think if you got something negative to say. On the Black Star Network. Back in a moment.
They said the quiet part out loud. Black votes are a threat, so they erased them. After the Supreme Court gutted the Voting Rights Act in 2013, Republican legislatures moved fast. New voter ID laws, polling place shutdowns, purges of Black voters from the rolls. Trump's Justice Department didn't stop it, they joined in. In 2018, his DOJ backed Ohio's voter purge system, a scheme that disproportionately erased Black voters. Their goal, erase Black votes and political power. Yeah, that happened. These are the kinds of stories that we cover every day on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Subscribe on YouTube and download the Black Star Network app. Support fact-based independent journalism that centers African Americans and the issues that matter to our community.
Folks, funeral services for Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr. will begin on Friday. He'll lie in state at Rainbow Push in Chicago. That will then lead to different events taking place in South Carolina, Washington, D.C., and then, of course, back to Chicago next week. A lot of folks have been sharing their reflections. We've talked to many of them. Minister Louis Farrakhan yesterday spoke from Savior's Day in Chicago. We'll play that clip for you in a moment. But Gary Flowers spent years working for Rainbow Push, worked very closely with Reverend Jackson, joins us right now. Gary, glad to have you here. So
thank you, brother beloved.
Just starting off, just, you know, again, he was an iconic, significant figure. And you, again, saw him in a way very few folks did.
Thank you, brother beloved. Roland, we go back so far. I met you in Chicago when you came to run the Chicago Defender, and I was national field director for Reverend Jackson. I come tonight, my heart is heavy, hurt, but hopeful. my most impactful mentor, has transcended this earth. But what he's left behind are countless stories, but also countless people who have benefited from his unique and extraordinary wisdom. Working for Reverend Jackson was like those who may be Star Trek fans when you had a chessboard on 3 different levels. Reverend Jackson played life and business and social justice on 3 different levels. And I was one of the beneficiaries of his guidance.
When you talk about, a lot of people don't really understand the brilliance of Reverend Jackson's mind and how he understood organizing and mobilizing.
Reverend Jackson, many of us who worked for him said that he could see around corners. He could define an issue, articulate an issue, and bring the issue to absolution before we even began. A case in point. In late 1996 and 1997, Reverend Jackson formed the Wall Street Project, which was carrying on Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King's last movement of economic justice in the United States of America. He centered on Wall Street. He called it the Wall Street Project. And his first mantra was, "We are here to democratize capital." He said to Sandy Weil at Citigroup, and Dick Grasso at the New York Stock Exchange, and Alan Greenspan at the Federal Reserve, yes, corporate America has money, has know-how, has infrastructure, it has distribution. But we as consumers, we have money, we have market. And so we bring something to the table. We're not coming to ask for a handout. We're asking for a handful of opportunity. That was the last words of Dr. King on April 3rd, 1965. April 3rd, 1968, when Dr. King said, "We come today, Mayor Loeb in Memphis, Tennessee, to say you're not treating his people right. The sanitation workers, yes, are low on the social totem pole, but they buy Coca-Cola and Seal Test ice cream too." And so Dr. King's last speech was not about a mountaintop. It was about economic justice. And Reverend Jackson carried on that mantra and that movement more than anyone else on the planet.
He also constantly emphasized how critically important the power of the Black church, but also Black-owned media. And that also was something that Reverend did not see a white media as the be-all to end-all.
It's interesting because one of your colleagues, my homegirl and birthday mate, Hazel Trice Edney, who has a wire service now, tells the story that Reverend Jackson was taking the media to the back room for private interviews. And he reached out and grabbed her hand, knowing that she was a new journalist and that she really didn't know how to ask to get into the room. And so it was Reverend Jackson's intention to seed the pond with young journalists such as yourself and Hazel Trice Edney and Jack White and others, to say that as we democratize capital on Wall Street, and as we bring social justice to education and other areas in this country, we have to do so with those who tell the story. He went into CNN before you were hired, Roland. I sat with him and the CEO of CNN, and he said, "I arrived in Atlanta, Georgia last evening, and all night CNN is all white. And by doing so, you were hired. Frederica Whitfield was hired. Soledad O'Brien was hired. And so, yes, it was his intention in every field of American society to close the demonstrative gaps that exist."
Questions from the panel. Scott, you're still there?
I'm still here. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yep. Your question for Gary.
I think Gary, my good friend Gary, I hope you're well. I've never heard someone articulate how Jesse Jackson democratized other industry groups. He certainly did it with the lawyers. He did it with business, and he did it with Black Wall Street bankers as well, along with people like Marion Barry and mayors of other major cities, Atlanta and LA as well. They could not have had Black Wall Street bankers without Reverend Jesse Jackson's voice. Tell us something about Reverend Jackson that we wouldn't know by reading a book or reading the press clippings, based on your close relationship with him.
Well, first and foremost, to extend the Wall Street project, it wasn't just about financial services. We developed 7 Wall Street bureaus across the country, industry specific. In Atlanta, it was manufacturing. In Washington, D.C., it was public policy.
Yeah.
In Cleveland, manufacturing and financial services. In Detroit, automotive. In Los Angeles, entertainment. And in Houston, energy. And we surveyed Fortune 50 corporations and asked them, how diverse is your board of directors? How diverse are your top executives? What vendors do you currently pay that are women or people of color? And where those gaps existed, we filled the gap. For instance, John Deere in the year 2000, since 1837, had never had a Black franchisee owner. When we showed up, they hired former Congressman Julius Caesar Watts, J.C. Watts, but he was backed by white entrepreneurs. He wasn't a Black firm. The first fully Black-owned John Deere dealership was in Richmond, Virginia by Ed McCoy. He now owns 9. Reverend Jackson would make the corollary to the sports field. He said, when the field is level and the rules are clear and public and the referees are not biased, we all can succeed. If football players who were Black had to run 12 yards for a first down, and whites who inherited yards only had to run 8, we would have fistfights on the football field. And so he equated that to American society. To your question of what might I share now that people don't know about Reverend Jackson, he was much more universalist than people give him credit. People made a caricature out of Jesse Jackson, rhyming, civil rights leader. He was not boxable. Reverend Jackson was global. I contend that he was the heavyweight champion for global human rights. And when we landed in foreign countries, he was received as a prime minister with red carpets and bands and motorcades. And so do not reduce Reverend Jackson's memory and legacy to that of a country preacher and a civil rights leader. He was a global citizen that changed the world.
Yep. Thank you very much. Amen.
Thank you, Brother Roland.
Hold up, Thelma. Go.
Good evening. First and foremost, thank you for being here. The one thing that I love is meeting individuals who have such rich history in our upbringing and expanding our calling. One question that I have is, with affirmative action and what we are seeing right now, can you tell us, with Jesse Jackson's initiative with diversity, how big was his push in expanding affirmative action that not only benefited us, but benefited other races and genders?
Thank you for the question. Reverend Jackson had the unique ability to take a phrase and make it plain. When affirmative action came about, it was in the 1960s under the administration of Richard Nixon. But Reverend Jackson rephrased it. He said, we need affirmative action because of negative action. And he went down the litany in American history of the negative action in terms of opportunity. As respects to diversity, he often said that diversity itself was a diversion from the amorphous concept of, well, let's just color, the palette. Reverend Jackson dealt with equity, which is quantifiable. if there were 2 women and 3 blacks on the board of directors of said corporation of 20 last year, and you have growth projections, said corporation, for profits, what is your growth projection for making opportunities more equitable on your board of directors? And so the Wall Street Project, as an example, bought shares of stock in corporations, and we would show up at corporations' board of directors meeting and ask about quantifiable measures to improve the corporation, because if a CEO has a fiduciary responsibility to grow the corporation, he or she cannot ignore markets because of what Reverend Jackson called cultural blinders. And so we sought to remove the cultural blinders. And as such, he moved from diversity as a diversion to equity. And his phrase that he said, inclusion leads to growth.
Omekongo?
Flowers, the question I have is, what are 1 or 2 things that you feel Reverend Jackson would be doing today if he was here right at the forefront, like he has been for decades? I'm thinking, the mobilization that he was involved in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, all the way up until now. If he was here right now leading the movement in the ways that he did in years past, what are 2 things that you feel like he would do or say we do to challenge what's happening with this administration right now?
Well, first, he would remind us that the United States Constitution was written as a radical document in 1776, almost 250 years ago, but that it gives us framework by which red, yellow, brown, black, and white, we're all precious in God's sight. And so he would have been in Minneapolis. He would be in Washington today, challenging the occupier of the Oval Office to follow the Constitution and to expand it. And if not, he would then bring about selective patronage of the major corporations that support this evil and tyrannical administration.
Indeed. Gary Flowers, we surely appreciate you joining us on today's show, man. Thanks a lot.
Well, thank you, Brother Roland. And in the last statement, I want to suggest to your audience that the pyramidal structure of leadership that we thought existed with Dr. King and all of us fanned out in a triangle shape, we have to change that to a circular source of leadership, a village concept, if you will, that I suggest. And that is that all of us on the circle have value. All of us have an equal radian to the middle, the center source, whatever that is, Black progress, perhaps. And as such, each one of us need to see ourselves as a leader. So the profound question that Reverend Jackson would ask today is, beyond analysis, what is your action? What do you plan to do? Don't look for your so-called leaders to lead you. You are a leader yourself. And that's why he often said, I am somebody.
Well, that is critically important. And we know it's a whole lot of folk who are waiting on somebody else to do the work as opposed to them doing it themselves. Gary, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Brother Roland.
All righty, folks. Let me thank Scott, Thelma, and Omekongo for being on today's panel. Folks, I certainly appreciate it. Thank you so very much. Let's close this out with headlines, Black Star Network headlines from Brittany Noble.
A Black mother is demanding answers after her 32-year-old son, Daquan Johnson, was shot multiple times by police in Grand Rapids, Michigan. The shooting happened Wednesday night around 9:30 near Eastern Avenue and Martin Luther King Street in the parking lot of an apartment complex. Johnson was taken to the hospital where he died the following day. Police say they believe that he was armed with a handgun, so they pursued Johnson, who was on the bike. The dash camera video from police shows that emergency lights and sirens were activated as Johnson rode the bike away from the police into a parking lot. One officer deployed a K9 that attacked Johnson. Footage from an officer's body camera shows him moving in toward Johnson with his gun drawn, demanding he get on the ground with his hands up. According to Grand Rapids Police, an officer fired their weapon. As the family now fights for justice, his mother certainly has a message. And Johnson's family is pushing back on the claim that he had a gun, saying he did not pose a threat to officers. A 21-year-old missing college student, Kyle Basinga, was found hanging from a tree in Fair Oaks Park in Marietta, Georgia, 4 days after he vanished on February 14th. Now, there is video on Kyle's Facebook page of an altercation with a police officer where he says he was unlawfully detained on Georgia State University's campus. Cobb County police say there's no evidence of foul play and are treating his death like a suicide after he was found in a wooded area near a park. His family and residents there say they are not convinced that he killed himself. Well, the New Order National Human Rights Organization, they planned a vigil for tomorrow, Tuesday, February 24th, to honor Basinga. President Donald Trump is demanding Netflix fire former U.S. Ambassador and National Security Advisor Susan Rice from its board. Trump posted a message on his Truth Social account this weekend calling for the streaming company to let her go immediately or pay the consequences. Trump is referring to Rice as racist and Trump deranged and even questions how much she's being paid. The president wrote in part, Netflix should fire Susan Rice immediately or pay the consequences, adding that her power is gone and will never come back. Now, these comments come after Rice appeared Thursday on the Stay Tuned with Preet Bharara podcast, where she said corporations that take a knee to the president and break the law should expect consequences. Trump's comments come as Netflix and Paramount Skydance face a key deadline in a bidding war for Warner Brothers Discovery. The Department of Justice is now reviewing that proposed acquisition. During the British Academy of Film and Television Arts in London, a white man yells out the N-word. It all happened Sunday night while Black actors Michael B. Jordan and Delroy Lindo presented an award on stage. John Davidson, well, he has Tourette syndrome, a neurological disorder characterized by involuntary tics and vocalizations. Well, he yelled out the racial slur. And Davidson, who has long campaigned for awareness of the condition, told CNN before the ceremony that he was worried about the involuntary tics. A Black actress is suing Harvard University's American Repertory Theater for racial discrimination and negligence. The lawsuit follows a 2025 production of The Odyssey. Nike Amoru alleges in the suit that the production caused 90% permanent hair loss. She says that an unqualified stylist installed tight, damaging extensions for her role, resulting in severe non-scarring alopecia, trauma, and lasting scalp damage. She accuses the theater of not properly caring for her hair. She talks briefly about how painful the experience was as going through the ordeal. She also says that due to the hairstyle, some follicles were left empty and minimal regrowth over the following year. So she says this incident has caused significant mental health struggles, including anxiety and trauma. Roland.
All right, then. Brittany, we should appreciate it. Also, folks, the state of Isaac Hayes, they've settled a lawsuit against Donald Trump. You might remember Donald Trump played a song co-written by Isaac Hayes at one of his rallies where they got sued. This is, let me go ahead and pull this up. This is the statement that the family released. Isaac Hayes III released this statement on behalf of the estate. Give me 1 second. Let me pull this up right here. Let's see here. I think I got it. Let's see. Showing. Here we go. All right, then. The Hayes family and the estate of Isaac Hayes Jr. announced that the lawsuit filed against Donald John Trump and Donald J. Trump for President 2024 Inc. regarding their use of Hold On, I'm Coming has been mutually resolved, and we are satisfied with the outcome. This resolution represents more than the conclusion of a legal matter. It reaffirms the importance of protecting intellectual property rights and copyrights, especially as they relate to legacy ownership and the responsible use of creative works. Isaac Hayes Jr. dedicated his life to his craft, and his contributions to music and culture carry enduring value. As stewards of his legacy, we remain committed to ensuring that his work is respected and properly protected. We are proud that this matter has helped further a broader conversation surrounding intellectual property rights and the obligation to honor creators and their estates. Protecting ownership is not only about the past, it is about preserving dignity, value, and accountability for future generations. We would like to extend sincerest gratitude to our counsel, James L. Walker Jr., and Brittany R. Dobbins, our copyright administrator, Liz Garner, and the Walker and Associates team for their outstanding work and collaborative effort throughout this process. Their diligence, professionalism, and strategic guidance were instrumental in reaching this resolution. With appreciation, Isaac Hayes III, President of the estate of Isaac Hayes, President and CEO, Isaac Hayes Enterprises. All right, folks, tomorrow massive show we are doing. Donald Trump was giving the State of the Union address. We ain't covering that crap. Tomorrow, folks, we're going to have the State of our Union. We have organized nearly 50 voices in labor, medicine, health, education, civil rights, voting rights, ministers, you name it. We have it tomorrow. We got a massive discussion. Remember last year, y'all, when we did this, we were number 5 on all of YouTube with 250,000 live viewers. We want to break that record. Y'all, do not give your eyeballs to mainstream media. Do not watch ABC, NBC, CBS. Ignore CNN, MSNBC, and Fox News. If y'all want to hear the state of our union, what is happening with Black America, watch us. Cliff Albright, co-founder of Black Voters Matter, is going to be giving the keynote address, laying out what is happening with the state of our union. Folks, this is a moment where we must be looking inward, mobilizing and organizing together. We want y'all telling everybody. You see the post on social media, share it with your friends, family. Last year, man, we were in all sort of family chat groups all across the country. Let's blow it out. Let's break that record. Let's have more than 250,000 live viewers. We were going at 7 p.m. Eastern. We went to 1 a.m. Even at midnight, we still had 101,000 folks watching. We want to go big this year. This is about us preparing our people for the battles that lie ahead. And so tune in tomorrow night right here on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. You're going to tune in. We're going to be live. As I said, we're going to be live beginning at 7 p.m. Eastern. 7 p.m. Eastern. You do not want to miss it. Share with everybody, because we are going to be speaking truth to power and giving our folks direction as to what we need to be doing in these primaries, in these midterm elections in 2026, and preparing for 2028. We can't keep saying we need a roadmap and a plan of action. We're going to tell you what that is when we have the state of our union right here on Roland Martin Unfiltered and the Black Star Network beginning Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. All right, folks, don't forget, support the work that we do. Join our Bring the Funk fan club. If you want to contribute, please do so by Cash App. Use the Stripe QR code. You see this right here. That's also, click the Cash App pay button to contribute. It's also for credit cards. Checks and money order. Make it payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered. P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 2003 7-0196. PayPal's R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo's RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Download the Black Star Network app, Apple phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Samsung Smart TV. Also, you want to get our Roland Martin Unfiltered Black Star Network swag, go to shopblackstarnetwork.com. T-shirts, mugs, wall art, you name it. We got all that stuff right there at shopblackstarnetwork.com. We also have a lot of Black-owned products all on the website. Folks, go there and you can support those companies. When you support those companies, you support the Black Star Network. And don't forget, download the app Fanbase. Check me out there at Roland S. Martin. All right, y'all. That's it. I'll see y'all tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern, right here. Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Oh, shout out to Corinth Church. I had a fantastic time with Pastor Alan Patterson and the folks there. If y'all missed my speech yesterday, go to our YouTube channel or Black Star Network app. I spoke truth to power. And use 2 Samuel 23:11 as the basis of what I was speaking from. So you want to check that out. And so again, shout out to Corinth Church in Houston.